Hello and welcome to another episode of Sav Exclusive. I am your host, Natasha Brown, and on this particular episode, I will be speaking with a marine engineer, a businessman, and also the partner director of the ministry arm of the House on the Rock Church. Actually, it is the corporate social responsibility arm initiative organized by this particular church. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. This promises to be absolutely insightful. We'll be right back.
Hey there! Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
Welcome back. And this man of many hats, he is Mr. Mike Johnson Olumide. Welcome here, sir.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely delightful having you here.
My pleasure too.
So, Army of David, let's just get right into it. What's it about?
Army of David, just like you rightly mentioned, is the ministry arm of the church that takes the church outside the four walls of the sanctuary. We go to the communities around and beyond the church to help the needy, support their causes, and generally look at where people need help and then give the support as commanded by the Bible.
Absolutely, and I love to see the church engage in social responsibility. I love to see the church engage in community service because that is primarily the core of it, you know. So, but I know that there are various ways that this organization has been able to do this. You know, I'm privy to the last one that a minibus was given, Kekena Pep was given. So it's more like an empowering kind of organization, not just, you know, go about, give foods, but there is an angle to empowerment.
Yeah, that's correct, because we know very much that once you give food, you know, most likely, sometime, someday, the food will finish. Just like this old proverb that teach me how to catch the fish rather than give me the fish. Okay, so what we do is to not just give food, although we give because that's the very least of the support we can give. But over and beyond that, we also know that there will also be a need, you know, on an ongoing basis. So the much we can do, we try to impact on the people who we are called to, the widows, the orphans, and, you know, we have also done quite a whole lot of work. We've been to the school for the blind, we've been to school for the handicapped, you know, all within Port Harcourt. We've been to school with where there are people with disabilities, the old people's elderly home. So we try to look out for all these areas where people...
It seems they're forgotten.
Yes, where people are forgotten, and then we go in and then do the much that we can.
Okay, so I would like to take us back behind the scene, you know, down memory lane. How did this vision come about? How was it birthed? And how long has it been in operating?
Army of David started in 2006. It was clearly an initiative of the pastor in charge of House on the Rock Church, Pastor Lanre Olusheye, and is also partnered or championed by the pastor in charge of Army of David, Pastor Uche Onoche. Before I came in as the partners director, there had been I think 3 or thereabouts partners directors before me, I started 2019, more or less. So, and the vision has been, has been there, and each time we try to refine, each time we try to make it better than the last and the previous editions we've had.
And I'm sure it has been progressive. It has been progressive.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So your outreaches, tell us about those, because from what I understand, is it quarterly? Is it monthly? Your outreaches? Yeah,
beautiful question. We have 3 basic outreaches. One is the Widows Outreach. That's our flagship program. The second is the Orphanage Outreach. We also class some other needy outreaches that we attend or service under orphanage and other outreaches. And then there's the third one called the medical outreach. This we do just within the church for the church parishioners. So those are the basic 3 outreaches that we do. Then in terms of the frequency, the Widows Outreach is usually done once per year. It's a major program, so we commit a lot of resources to it. We put in quite a whole lot into it because those are the areas where the needs are more. Women are usually very, downtrodden in the society, most especially when they lose their spouses. Apart from the fact they are traumatized, they are still, made to be subjected to various forms of traditional abuse, traditional rights, and so on. So we commit resources in those areas, more to be able to help these women, especially who not just lost their breadwinners, also have to cater for themselves and for the children or the family that the husband left behind.
Very interesting. Even though I know that there are widowers out there, so men also suffer, and they also are in need of help. But it seems like Army of David is more in tune with widows, much more than the widowers.
Yes,
Is that a particular bias? Is there a particular reason for that bias, or it's stemmed on the fact that women are it seems that women, especially when they lose their spouses, like you rightly said, are more trampled on, based off of their vulnerability and all of that. Would that be what informs the bias toward it being mostly about the widows?
Yeah, Natasha, look at it. The women are more generally women need more protection, better than the men, because men, more or less, they find a way to survive on their own, one way or the other. And most cases where women suffer is when the man did not really leave much behind. Okay, so the man left the woman, and then plus the children and so on. Now, there is no bias per se. I'll answer that question from 2 fronts. One, from the Bible, which is the basic root of what we do. Widowers don't get much, attention.
Which is a bit unfair, but okay.
But that's not. I didn't write the Bible.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then secondly, physically, a man is built to withstand, to go out there to bring stuff. That's the breadwinner of the home. So we believe that once the breadwinner of the home is being taken out, then the woman may need help. It's not every woman that we attend to. Let me just quickly correct. It is the women that are highly affected.
Without support.
Yes, without support. Those are the ones that we look out for. There are some women that even are part of what we do, who are also widows. You understand? Because they're able to fend for themselves, and then they're also able to support us to fend for other women who can support themselves, more or less.
Interesting. Really interesting. Yeah. So I know that there are grants made available to these women for empowerment in various avenues, loans given to them and all of that. But we'll get right into that after the short break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Dear Nigerians, Mo rò pé o ti gba ohun ìdìbò rẹ.
Tare mu karba a kasamu.
Make una go get on a PVC.
Together, we can take back our country.
Now.
Nisi.
Mama. Jesus.
This message is proudly brought to you by Thav Media Limited.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, sir, we were talking about the grant just before we went on a short break. How do you operate around this, you know, applying grants and giving these loans out to these women? Don't you have challenges where they do not turn up with the monies that was given to them?
Very good question. We felt that for women who are in business, we usually profile them before we do our outreaches. So the profiling exposes, you know, what they do. For instance, if you're a teacher, if you're in business, you know, part of the questionnaire, you know, asks, what do you do? Okay, if you need help in terms of funds, how much funds are you likely going to need? So we table all this question, you know, when after the profiling has been done and completed. So we pick the ones who are highly impoverished. You see women ask for 2 million, some ask for 5 million. Well, I know we'll be able to get to that point someday, but we look at those ones that with 20,000 naira, they're able to add, you know, rice and beans to what they sell. With 30,000, they're able to add, you know, some more food stuff on the shelf that they put in front of their houses to sell. So we tend to take those ones quickly because those ones, we call them low-hanging fruits. When we give them these monies, we expect them to trade with it, make profits, and then at the end of 6 months, we tell them, return this money back to us. Okay, although the intention is not to collect the money they return to us, the intention is to collect it, make sure that they actually traded with it and then returned it, and then we add some little extras on it. So we've done for like 30, 35 women so far, and the return rate is less than 3%. You will expect, honestly, with every good intention that, you know, they will take the monies and then use it. After 6 months, they will come and collect some more. But, you know, when you meet them and ask them, okay, why have you not returned this money? They come back with excuses like, okay, Obiakpo is, you know, disturbing us. Yes, you know, the place that we used to put our stuff, the community boys come. You know, we get so many excuses. But some of them are able to bring back the monies. And for those ones, we'll top it up and then give it back to them and tell them, come back again in 6 months with your money, and they will top it right back. And then from time to time, also, we go back to where they are doing their businesses to check, you know, if truly they're actually doing business. And it gives us joy to see that some of them are actually making a beneficial use of these credits that we give to them.
For me, I really do love the fact that you go and you check up on them. Sure. Accountability. Sure. And it's not a do or die affair, you know, for you to bring back the money or not, but our intention for saying you should bring back the money is to ensure your growth.
That's
that
correct.
You actually are putting that money into use. That's and then we even support you for that. I think that is absolutely phenomenal because a lot of banks don't have the time for that. Bring our money back.
Yes.
Or we you know, foreclose your store, you know, any of those. But I think that's a very beautiful angle. But I also know it's going to be challenging.
Yeah. Because
you said the return rate is 3%.
Yes.
That is pretty poor.
It's very, very poor. It's very poor.
So how do you work around it as a charitable organization? Because you get funding from these investors and partners, and from time to time they might need financial accountability as to how monies have been spent.
Yeah.
So how do you work around it?
Yes, in fact, what we planned this year was to suspend the mini credits aspect of it. We are talking to some microfinance banks, although they don't. What we went to ask them is if they have loans and savings scheme that the widows can key into. Then we can now bring in the widows within our profiled database and hand over to them to see how the banks can support them. Since we don't have, looking at the return rate, we are not very encouraged.
It's not encouraging.
You understand? So we felt that there must be some, other organizations that have all the instruments to be able to adequately facilitate the workability of that project. But so far, we've not been able to get anything. We spoke to 2 or 3 microfinance banks. They are going to get back to us. That's what they told us. But what we want to replace that with for the short term is a grant, okay? Look at one of them that have a good business proposal, already in business, and the interview will, give us more insights to, how, who qualifies for the grant, okay? So we'll rather give them a grant, maybe 2 or 3 of them, okay? And then know that, okay, it's a grant, go and do well with it. We are not coming back for you, okay? So, but those are part of the plans going forward for this year.
So you already have a criteria that shows you who comes into your profiled list and who cannot make that list?
More or less. The first criteria is that you have to be a widow, yes. And then secondly, we notice, however, just like I mentioned earlier, some widows they are okay themselves, so they really don't need help. So, of course, that the outreach excludes such a widow. Then thirdly, we also want to be sure that we can identify. We've had very funny experiences. The first outreach we had, in fact, I laughed myself out. It was a very funny incident. One of the widows, at that time, our church, we didn't have our own permanent structure, so we used to go out to the communities to actually hold the outreach. So this first outreach in 2009 was in Okujagu village, somewhere around Transamadi. So we got there, and then they brought all the women for us. We had been there before the day of the outreach, so they gathered, I think, 200 names or so. So, but, widows have a way of calling themselves. In fact, they are the best telecommunications. They find a way to reach themselves. Before so many of them came, and then, I'm a widow. Okay, so we have some stuff left, so we gave them. One of the widows in that particular, event called my attention and said, she knows this particular woman, and pointed to her. I said, this woman is not a widow. So I called the woman. I said, madam, are you a widow? She said, yes. Oh, no. So I felt bad. And I went back to the woman that reported the incidents to me. Why do you say this? She told me she is one. The lady had to call 2 of our other friends and said, come, this woman, I can't remember her name, is this woman a widow? And they all confirmed that she's not. So I called her back and said, come, I also still have it, in authority that you are not a widow. She said that you actually came from your husband's house this morning. So she said, what if you have a husband that is not behaving like...
providing, so she's probably widowed.
So I was quite shocked that, somebody will behave like that, even though you have a living husband, and then you claim that she's a widow. But of course, it just tells us of what is going on in the country, in our communities. So those are part of the criteria that we check. We check with the church that is around your community. We check with especially for the profiled ones. The unprofiled ones are a little bit, tricky, but we still find a way around it, though.
Okay, lovely processes you've put in place to try to, checkmate all of this that crop up from time to time. So you will need more partners and sponsors.
That's correct.
Right. So for people that are interested in partnering with this organization and sponsoring, how can they be able to access Army of David?
Okay, we have a website, armyofdavid.org. we're also linked to our church main website, HOTR Port Harcourt .org/Army of David. We can also be reached by email, info@armyofdavid.org, and with our phone lines also, which may be appearing on your screen right now. Okay, so those are the few ways. We're also on Facebook, and so if you type Facebook, Army of David, HFP. HFP is Heritage Foundation Partners. Army of David Heritage Foundation Partners, either on Facebook or Instagram. We are on those medias also.
Okay, so thank you so very much. I must commend you for your efforts and all that it is that Army of David does. They do really well, because I know I've attended like a few of the outreaches. It was absolutely mind-blowing what they were able to do with these widows and the orphans. But in light of altruism, how would you encourage each and every one of us out there? Because not all of us are affiliated with an NGO or a charitable organization, but kindness needs to be shown.
Sure.
Generosity needs to be a practice, a lifestyle practice. So what would you say to each and every one of us as individuals out there? You know, being privileged doesn't necessarily mean that you have 2 million in your account or 100 billion, you know, but the little that you can do for the next person around you. You don't necessarily have to have the Army of David cap around you. Okay, so what would you have to say about that? How do you encourage each and every one of us out there to actually reach out, you know, to ourselves, especially in this time that everybody's complaining they do not have?
Yeah, one thing is sure in life, when you give, okay, it usually comes back to you. It's a law, it's a natural law. So I'll always encourage people to see this as an opportunity to better the lives of others, okay? And the long run is, you are blessed too, you know, at the end of the day. So every religion preaches it, you know, give. Okay, when you love, you give. We believe is found on the Bible. One of the most popular scriptures is John 3:16, that for God so loved the world, and the next part says, and He gave. Okay, so once you love, okay, then you should give.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olumide.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I wish Army of David all of the best.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for watching this particular episode. I hope that you have enjoyed it. And remember to continue following us on all of our social media platforms is encouraged. Turn on that notification bell, subscribe so that you can get attuned to more of such enlightening discussions that will be coming through your way here on Fab Exclusive. I remain Natasha Brown. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.